Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Shireen Ash. I'm a librarian at the Corte Madera branch of the Marin County Free Library. I'm very pleased to welcome you all here to a presentation by members of Canal Alliance. They are going to be discussing immigration, giving us a much needed detailed update about what's going on at the federal level and the impacts that it's having in our own community in Marin County. And they will be talking about their work as well. So it should be an illuminating conversation for all of us. I'm going to ask that everyone stay mute during the presentation so none of us miss anything. At the end, there'll be ample time for questions and answers. You can put your questions in the chat throughout and I'll read them and our panel of experts will answer them. So with that, I am going to introduce Ilana Goldberg, who it's been my pleasure to get to know over the last few months. She is the legal outreach coordinator for Canal Alliance and has assembled this presentation for us. So with that, Ilana, if you want to take it away and introduce your team, that would be great. And I will see the rest of you at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shireen. I wanted to thank the library for giving us this opportunity to talk about what we do and why it matters and just what's going on in the world of immigration on the federal level and at the local level in Marin County. Before I get started, I would be remiss if I did not mention our administrative assistant in the immigration department, Sherry Beavers, who put together a lot of the slides you're going to see today. So with that, I will let the rest of my team introduce themselves. Oh, there we go. Starting with Joanna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna Castro Simonini. I'm the managing attorney at Immigration Legal Services Department at Canal Alliance. I'm going to talk a little bit about our team. We are a team of 14 people, and besides Ilana, the outreach coordinator, and Sherry, our admin assistant who produced these amazing slides. We also have 4 attorneys, including me. We have 4 paralegals, 3 legal assistants, 1 managing operations manager in the team. And as far as what I do at Canal, I pretty much supervise the legal strategy of the department, as well as implementation of any or all of the internal procedures for the department. I'm now gonna pass it on to Josna.
Hey everyone, I'm Josna Kanda. I'm the supervising attorney in the Immigration Legal Services Department at Canal Alliance. I supervise the paralegals and oversee certain affirmative applications, such as the ones for crime victims and the applications for green cards. And passed on to Grace.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Grace. I am a paralegal. I'm also a Department of Justice accredited representative, which means I have some of the same responsibilities as an attorney with some important limitations, but I mostly work on citizenship cases as well as other things here and there. And Ilana?
My name is, once again, Ilana Goldberg. My title is Legal Outreach Coordinator, so I do educational presentations such as this one, presentations for the immigrant community in Marin County, Know Your Rights presentations, as well as I'm actually currently case managing all of temporary protected status, which is something that we will talk about a little bit later. So now I'm going to pass it on to Joanna to talk about what we're seeing in terms of immigration, specifically in Marin County.
All right, can we change the slide?
You know, yes, we can.
There you go. So we have this beautiful map for you. I want to just show you where the Canal neighborhood is in relation to San Rafael. And just let you know that it's the highest population density in Marin County. We have 12,000 residents living in 2.5 square miles. Canal Alliance is located right at the border. If you see, on the map, Larkspur Street, that's where we are. Most of our clients live in the canal area with some exceptions. We provide, can you go to the next slide actually? I'm going to talk about what we do. So we provide services to immigrants in a variety of ways. And our mission is to break the generational cycle of poverty of the Latino immigrants in Marin County. Now, let me throw some numbers at you about Marin County. Can you change the slide? All right. So we have 18% of residents in Marin County are foreign born, and 22% of the residents in Marin County speak a non-English language at home. Next slide. All right. Let's talk about the numbers of unaccompanied minors. I thought we needed to include a slide about this. There was a IJ piece this week regarding the influx of minors in Marin County. So I wanted to address this. So from October 1st, 2020 until now, August of this year, we've received 223 unaccompanied minors in Marin County. Our numbers are very high, especially if you compare with other larger counties in this area. For example, San Francisco received 304 unaccompanied children, and Santa Clara received 298. These counties, San Francisco, for example, has a lot more agencies that do immigration representation and immigration work. Here in Marin, we are the only ones providing this service. So we are not going to have capacity to help all of these kids. We currently have capacity to help. From these 223 kids who arrived, we have been contacted by, last time I checked, and this was 2 weeks ago, sorry, it was about 110. It's probably more like 120 now. And of these 120 kids who contacted us, we are going to be able to help 50 of them with the capacity and the amount of staff that we have right now. So we are currently trying to figure out how to help the other 60 or 70 unaccompanied minors who are looking for representation. We're looking for funding, we're looking for options. Other agencies are equally as overwhelmed as we are. So we are trying to identify solutions for this right now. Let's move to the next slide. Here we go. So we wanted to give you an idea of what's going on in Marin County, and starting with San Rafael. So San Rafael ranks 5th in racial segregation. If you can see here, we're behind only, much bigger, larger cities like Oakland, San Jose, and San Francisco in racial segregation. But not only that, Marin County has #1 rank in disparity, so racial disparity. We are #1 in both performance, so we are high performing county, and also the high disparity county. Amongst the 58 counties in California, we are #1 in disparity. It's a bit shocking. If you see, I wanted to show you this. So this is just what we took, right, Ilana, from just the list. It's an alphabetical order, but it shows exactly what, gives a good sample of where other counties are in California regarding this this measurement here. So Los Angeles is 28, right, in racial disparity, and 44 in high performance, for example. Performance is measured by how well people are doing, education, and home ownership is also a big one. And disparity is measured by how well different racial groups are doing compared to one another. So this paints a good picture of what's happening in Marin, although a very sad picture at the same time. All right, so what does Canal Alliance do to try to fill in this gap a little bit? So we provide immigration legal services, and we're going to talk a lot more about this later on. So I'm not going to talk about this now, but we also provide English as a second language classes. We provide citizenship classes for people who are applying to become citizens, right? So naturalize. There's a very difficult exam that they have to take. And so we provide those classes. We also have an amazing college prep program. It's called UP. And the idea is to make sure that, you know, we get first generation kids going to college, and we've been very successful in doing so. We also provide, this is a newer program, but it's been doing really well. We provide vocational training and career navigation. This is it's a great opportunity for the young kids who have arrived. For example, our unaccompanied minor clients, they sometimes they don't qualify, or sometimes when they arrive here, they are very, they're between 15 and 17 years old. But the ones who are older, cannot stay in school, in high school for longer, after they turn 18. So the vocational training has been a great opportunity for them when they qualify for this program, because then they can, continue to get education to be able to succeed. So this program was created with this this community in mind, the USC, but all other, many adults are also benefiting from this program. We also offer immediate needs services such as food pantry, financial and rental support. We have a partnership with the county for the rental support, and mental health counseling. Our vaccination clinic has been extremely successful. We've had, I think our rate is now, we have 98% of people in the Canal area who have received at least one dose, and I think 87% have received 2 doses. So this is us. This is Canal Alliance in a nutshell. I'm going to now pass it on to Josna.
Okay, so within legal immigration services, when we use the term immigrant, it can have different legal definitions that it encompasses, as well as different statuses. So one is a visa holder. This can be a group of people who come to the US on a visa, such as a tourist visa. But with this type of visa, they can only stay for a limited period of time or for a specific purpose. There's other folks that can come to the US on a visa, but then be able to remain here and eventually adjust their status to that of a permanent resident. A lawful permanent resident is more commonly known as a green card holder. They have lawful permanent status here, which means they can live here legally, work, and even petition for certain family members to get their status. The limitations for lawful permanent residents are that they cannot vote, such as for the president, can't vote yet. They can't leave the US and travel for extended periods of time. And then after they hold this status as a lawful permanent resident for a certain period of time, depends on what type of case they've had, they can naturalize to become citizens. So like Joanna mentioned, they have to take difficult English and civics tests. And then once they get their citizenship, they can vote, they can travel as much as they want, and generally are afforded the basic, all the liberties of a US citizen. Next slide. So at Canal Alliance, we provide various legal services. So this starts with consultations. This can be for folks who are recently arrived, folks who've been here for years, people who are lawful permanent residents, are seeking to get their lawful permanent residence, seeking to naturalize. So we'll meet with them, do a consultation, get an idea of their full immigration history, and help them understand their options. And if it is a case that we can take, we file many applications. Much of immigration law is just application based, and so some can be very long. And so we'll file these applications for clients. And then we also do a lot of outreach and education, such as this, which provides opportunities to inform the community about immigrants' rights and also update them about any updates in immigration law. And so, as Joanna mentioned, one of the major services that we provide are for unaccompanied minors. This includes those that come to the US and are detained at the border at entry and are put into immigration proceedings. We will represent them in immigration court and prevent their deportations. And to be able to do this, they will have to apply for a benefit that they qualify for, such as special immigrant juvenile status, which is for those 21 and younger who have been abused, abandoned, neglected by one or both parents. And this process is a two-part process. One is the family court, which we don't do at Canal Alliance, but there's another nonprofit that does. And then there's the immigration part that we do. Some of these youth can also apply for asylum, and at Canal we take asylum cases for minors. And this is for those individuals who have been persecuted in their home country and have a fear of returning. And for both of these, special immigrant juvenile status and asylum provides a pathway to lawful permanent residency and then eventually to citizenship. And another big part of our clientele are for victims of crimes. So this can include the U visa or U status, which is for those who have been victims of crimes in the US. And this was created by Congress to encourage undocumented folks who might otherwise fear reporting crimes to the police, to encourage them to not only report the crime, but also cooperate with law enforcement in the investigation and prosecution of the crimes. There is T visa, T status, which is for those who have been victims of human trafficking, which can involve both sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Then there's the Violence Against Women Act, which is for both men and women. And this is for victims of domestic violence. And the violence is committed by a certain family member who's either a lawful permanent resident or a citizen. And all three of these also provide a pathway to gain lawful permanent residency and eventually citizenship. Pass it on to Grace.
All right, so Josna just mentioned a couple different pathways for people to become residents. At Canal Alliance, we do a lot of adjustments of status. So that's when somebody takes an initial visa or type of status and is able to become a resident. They adjust their status. So we assist in preparing green card applications. And then also we do a lot of naturalization cases. Naturalization is the process of becoming a US citizen, applying for US citizenship. That usually you're able to apply for after being a resident for 5 years in most cases. And as was previously mentioned, you also need to take an English exam and a civics exam. Not everybody pursues citizenship. The exams are a big hurdle in keeping a lot of people from becoming citizens, even though there are many advantages to citizenship, such as protection from deportation, the ability to vote, travel more freely, and petition family members. And then go ahead, Alana. So far we've talked about kind of permanent status options. There are also other status options that we do that don't have a pathway to citizenship or residency. So two of those are TPS, temporary protected status, and as the name implies, it's just temporary and provides work authorization protection against deportation from individuals from certain countries. For example, El Salvador, I know Sudan, Burma, Syria, some Venezuela more recently, Haiti as well. Countries that have pretty serious situations in the countries due to political issues or natural disasters. And for now, this does not include a pathway to citizenship, and you just got to keep renewing your work permit every couple years. Which becomes very expensive. And DACA is similar to that in that it's not a pathway to citizenship. The DACA program exists to provide work permit protection against relief for people who entered the United States as children. One of the problems with the DACA program, though, is that you had to have entered before a very specific date in 2007. So people who have arrived more recently no longer qualify, don't qualify. Again, this is not a pathway to citizenship. Okay.
So as Grace mentioned, there are a lot of hurdles to all of these applications. Grace and Josna mentioned. As Joanna mentioned, we don't have capacity at Canal Alliance to serve every single person in the immigrant community in Marin County as the only nonprofit providing these services right now. And of course, something else that I should mention is that not everybody qualifies for immigration status. I think there's sometimes a misconception that if a person has been in the United States for a certain amount of time, that should qualify them for a certain kind of status. It does not. There are ways other than the ones we just mentioned to qualify for status. Those are the ones that we do at Canal Alliance, but really there are so many undocumented individuals who simply do not have a pathway even to the temporary statuses like TPS and DACA. So with that in mind, and with the needs of the broader community in mind, we do not just process individual applications, we also do what's called community outreach. So that involves educational programming that during the Trump administration, a lot of that programming was know your rights programming, talking about what happens if you see ICE, what happens if ICE comes to your door, what happens if ICE stops you in the street, what happens if ICE stops you in your car. And for those of you who don't know, ICE is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They're the government agency that can detain you and eventually have you deported, even if you're not right at the border. So a lot of our presentations were around that. We've had less demand for that in the past year or so. So we've done more programming around housing rights in conjunction with Legal Aid of Marin, employment rights in conjunction with Legal Aid of Marin, especially around the pandemic. A lot of people wanted to know what their rights were. Could their landlords evict them? Could their employers fire them for taking leave because they or a family member had COVID? And we did a lot of these presentations through Facebook Live, through Zoom events with various schools and churches, PTA organizations. We also have something called our COVID Attention Center, and that's what you see on the left. That's me in the picture. And that is kind of a one-stop shop that we have at Canal Alliance. It's 3 times a week outside of our building for COVID safety. And people can come by and get COVID testing. They can register for a COVID vaccine. You'll see in the picture Legal Aid of Marin and the County of Marin. The county does rental assistance with our rental assistance team. And then we, as the immigration team, I'm the representative there. If folks have broader questions about immigration, or if they want to set up an appointment, they don't exactly know for what, we do a very kind of vague overview education there, because obviously we don't want to ask folks for their personal information in such a public space. And we help them get set up with appointments if they want to make an appointment to see what their options are. And as I say in the slide, we often conduct outreach with Legal Aid of Marin, San Rafael City Schools, and the Marin Community Clinic. So the next thing I want to jump into is some change in federal policy. Grace mentioned the DACA program. The DACA program was created in 2012 by President Obama. In 2017, Trump sought to end the program, and there were a lot of lawsuits. In June of 2020, I'm sorry, I need a quick water break.
while we are waiting for Ilana, if you guys have any questions, I'm not reading the chat, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. I'm actually Ilana's calling me, so I have to answer. Hello?
There's nothing currently in the chat at this point. This is Shireen, your host. So sounds like Ilana and Jana are working out what's going on. So thank you for your patience, and they'll be back soon.
All right, so I'm going to keep going. Ilana had to stop.
I'm sorry, folks. I just had a little coughing fit and I'm feeling kind of dizzy. So I'm going to let Joanna keep presenting. I'll keep doing the slides.
All right. And, you know, if you want to jump in, Ilana, if you're feeling better to add to this, that's, you know, feel free to do that.
Thank you.
So let me continue with the timeline for the DACA program. So we've had, let me start over because I don't remember where she stopped, but September 2017 was a very difficult time for us. We were rushing to file all those DACA applications before anything changed. And then the program was terminated, or the Trump administration tried to terminate the program. June 2021, there was the Supreme Court decision saying that the program could not be terminated like this. January, and then, you know, lots of litigation happened. The program came back, but not fully. So people could not file initial applications. They could only file renewal. So only people who had already had DACA, right, could continue to have DACA. January 2021, Biden administration went ahead and reinstated the program. So people could again file initial applications for DACA, which was an amazing development. Then came July 2021, and there was a decision by a Texas court, once again stopping the DACA program in that people could no longer, or USCIS, or Immigration Department, could no longer approve initial applications. People can still send them, but the department cannot at this moment approve them. People can still renew it, and the Immigration Department can still approve renewals at this time. So let's go to the next slide. So the same is true about TPS, right? There's been a lot going on with TPS. During the Trump administration, the TPS program for several countries was simply terminated. Then a lot of advocates started filing lawsuits, and right now, so we still have lawsuits pending right now that started during the Trump administration. Certain countries such as El Salvador, and we have a very large population of clients from El Salvador who renew their TPSs with us every time that they need to be renewed. And so that's the population that we really focus on from El Salvador. But in terms of the timeline, in March of this year, what the Biden administration did is that they designated Venezuela as a TPS country. August 2021, they announced a redesignation. So it's a redesignation of TPS for Haiti, for the country of Haiti. Which is an amazing development, because Haiti was one of the countries that was part of that litigation that's still pending for TPS holders. So now they can actually reapply and have, again, a fresh TPS, which is amazing for them. And then in September of the same year, now because of this litigation that is still happening, the government extended TPS status to all of those people from all of these countries that are involved in this litigation that's still pending, including El Salvador, like I mentioned before. And we continue to provide support and information to people from these countries who are still waiting for, a more certain position regarding their status. But we were actually hoping that, the Biden administration would do the same thing that they did for Haiti and redesignate all these countries for TPS, but that hasn't happened yet. So we got to wait and see what's going to happen. Right now, we are filing initial applications, TPS applications for Haiti. So if you know of anyone who needs that kind of help, please send them our way. Next slide, please. All right, so what's going on in the federal level? Not as much as we would like to begin with, right? We would like to be seeing a lot more action there. There is the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021 that President Biden presented. Was it a great idea? We loved everything that was in there. Nothing has happened to it much for now. So I think we kind of wanted to, show this to you to kind of give you an idea of what is going on with the immigration system and what needs to be fixed, right? So that's why I'm going to go over these items with you. And then we can talk a little bit more about the general actions that are happening in Congress right now. But so what's included in this U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021? A pathway to citizenship for all undocumented immigrants who were present in the U.S. Before January 1st, on or before January 1st, 2021. So it would be kind of an amnesty that, like of the kind that happened during Reagan, for example. A greater number of available U visas and more ways to qualify for the U visa. The U visa is one of the humanitarian types of relief that Josna mentioned. Right now, there is a cap to the number of U visas that can be granted per year. What ends up happening is that there is a wait. There is a very long wait for someone who qualifies, has all the requirements to receive a U visa, but that person has to wait. Right now, it's 5 to 6 years, but we've heard that, because of the amount of the applications that have been received by the Immigration Department, the wait is going to become between 10 to 12 years. So if there is an increase in the numbers of U visas that can be granted per year, that would really help folks a lot. Also would include a greater access to asylum and would get rid of something that is a huge barrier to asylum seekers, which is the 1-year bar. So meaning people have 1 year to apply for asylum when they get to this country. If they don't apply, it becomes a much more complicated case. It will also include more pathways to family-based immigration, fewer barriers to legal status. There is, during the Clinton administration, many barriers to receive immigration status were created. It's called the IRA, and they're called inadmissibility grounds. So this act would work on that and try to make it a little easier depending on the situation. It would be also a very good development for our clients. And then fewer barriers to re-entry of undocumented immigrants who leave the US and wish to come back. So that's all good. We haven't seen any movement on that. They are great ideas, but again, we're waiting for action. One thing that's happening right now, and you might have heard of it, is the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill, right? There are some items regarding immigration relief in that. 2 weeks ago, the parliamentarian shut down our efforts or advocates' efforts to try to include that in the reconciliation bill. Right now, the advocates you need Unidos US. We are affiliates of Unidos US. And if you want more information on this, you should try to follow them. But they are right now trying to figure out some options to bring back to, for consideration by the parliamentarian. It would be, so the major problem that the parliamentarian had in including immigration relief in the reconciliation package and budget was regarding citizenship. So now one of the options is to present some immigration relief that does not lead to citizenship. It would lead more to like temporary status, such as DACA and TPS that we've talked about earlier. All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so how shifts in federal policy affect our clients? In so many ways, right? Ability to obtain status. So, without status, our community lives in fear of deportation. Without status, you don't have a work permit, so you cannot legally work, which makes you a lot more vulnerable to exploitation. Without status, you cannot petition other relatives, and without status, you cannot come and go. So you cannot visit family. You don't have the freedom to travel. Also in the ability to use public benefits. You've probably all heard of the public charge rule and how the Trump administration had tried to make it a much more restrictive rule that now is over. We are now back to the old rules established in 1999, but there's still some limitations to that. And the fear of, deportation and detention by ICE, right? That's always a huge fear for the community if you do not have immigration status. Right now, actually, I think it was yesterday or the day before, there was an announcement by the Biden administration that workplace raids are no longer going to be targeting undocumented people. So they are not going to be conducting raids anymore to check on people's immigration status or whether people have work permits or not. Workplace raids or whatever audit is that they're going to decide to perform is going to focus on exploitation, on work conditions, right? So making sure that people are not being exploited because of their status. So this is a huge shift from what we've been seeing from the Trump administration. Not sure, we don't have a lot of details yet on how this is going to be implemented, but it's very interesting, and you're looking forward to learn more about this. Next slide. Oh, Grace.
This is Grace.
All right. So we wanted to share a card a client wrote to us a couple weeks back. This one in particular was really powerful. Ilana, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, so it's a little bit easier for me to read in English. We have so many clients, these cases take so long, years and years and years sometimes. And so finally getting the approval, being able to hand the client their work permit or their green card, or say, congratulations, your case is approved, is, it's momentous, of course, for the client, but then also very exciting for us. So we wanted to share this card a client wrote. She says, "Dear Canal Alliance community, from the bottom of my heart, I wanted to thank you for your hard work you've done to support the undocumented community. We are very fortunate to have you all as a supportive organization for us all. You are the best. I congratulate you. First of all, I thank God and each of you by name. I would like to mention all of them, but I know that there are several people who took their valuable time to work on my case, and I know that some are no longer at Canal Alliance. But my thanks goes to all the staff in general. I know that without your help, my dream would never have come true. That is to return to my beloved Aldea de los Cruces in Guatemala. after almost 21 years of being away, and to see my dear parents again and give them a big hug. I know my words fall short because of what you have done for me is something that I thought was impossible, because you started my case in 2012 and it was worth the wait. Whatever is within my power to do for the community, I will do it from the heart. Count on my support. However I can help, I will be available. These are my sincere thanks. Yeah, wow. 2012, that is a long pending case. Josna, was this one of your clients?
Yes, this was one of our green card application clients. And so a lot of the clients, especially the ones that do the visas and apply for green cards, wait for a really long time. Many of them have like their parents have passed away and haven't been able to return home to see them. So it's really powerful. And I think this card really encapsulates what we do and what our clients go through, and just really positive note.
All right.
I can jump back in here.
All right.
So this is just our contact information. Our website, canalalliance.org, has a lot of information about all of our services, ways to get involved. That's also our immigration phone number, the 415-306-0437. We have special links for DACA and public charge consultations, which we can send out afterwards. This is my contact information if you're interested in another presentation like this. And just a note, as you see on the top right, we do not respond to ICE presence in Marin County. That is another agency. It's the Marin Rapid Response Hotline. So if there is ever a time when you see or you hear about potential ICE presence in Marin County, that is the time to call the Marin Rapid Response Hotline. They have an entire network set up just to deal with that. And that's all that we have for you today. I'm going to stop sharing screen unless folks want to address a particular slide, and we can just do a kind of more informal question and answer.
So thank you all so much. This is Shireen again from the library, and I was just going to read from the chat. We have some interesting questions. I have to say there was a lot of content there and a lot of complexity. So thank you for your patient and clear presentation, all of you. So our first question is, how does a country qualify for TPS?
Joanna, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So it's usually on the basis of either a natural disaster or a political issue. You can call disaster as well, right? For example, in El Salvador, it gained TPS status, or the citizens of El Salvador gained TPS status once because of the earthquakes that happened in El Salvador. This was 2001. So prior to 2001, there were several earthquakes that destroyed the country. So that's one example. Haiti now, right, has TPS status because of everything that's happening to that country right now, both political and natural disasters, unfortunately. So it's going to vary. The situation is going to vary, but it's usually, it's the folks who are here at that moment should not, the idea is that folks who are here when these disasters happen should not be forced to go back to that terrible condition. So that's the idea.
Thank you. The next question is, what is the status of a person between the time they apply for a US visa and the time it is granted or denied?
Do you want to take that, Justin? You want me to? Yeah.
So that would depend on what kind of benefit they applied for. So for example, I talk about the U visas because we do that a lot. Unfortunately, they don't have status. So for the U visa, where it takes this many years to get on the wait list and get their status. They don't have a legal status. There is been new regulations in the last few months or so to at least provide these folks with U visas that are on this really long wait list to be able to give them work permits. And so this is a great new rule, and it's going to be slow to really implement it and get those folks on the wait list, the work permit, but we think in a few years it will help those clients so they will at least be able to work lawfully, but they won't have a status. For the unaccompanied minors too, they won't have a status. Once their special immigrant juvenile findings are approved in the state court, they will have this finding, but actually no status until their green card's approved. There's other people who come to the US with a non-immigrant visa, so they'll have that status, and then until they can find a more permanent lawful status.
Thank you. The next question has to do with unaccompanied minors. So could you repeat the age range of unaccompanied minors? And there's a question about what's happening to them. Are they going into foster care? What is the plan for them? And then also a thank you for all you do.
Thank you. I'll take this one. So it's we see a lot of kids between the age of 15 and 17 arriving, but we also see younger kids sometimes. It's when we see younger kids, they usually come with either an older sibling or a older cousin, and they're both under the age of 18. Let me back up a little bit and let me explain who is an unaccompanied minor. So to be classified as an unaccompanied minor, you must be under 18 years of age and be trying to enter the United States without a parent or a guardian. So that's what makes them unaccompanied minors. But we've seen, I've served people who were younger, as young as like 6. I've served some 11-year-olds that I remember. But you know, the main, the average age is 15 to 17. There was one more question regarding that, and I forgot.
Yes, it was what happens to them? Are they going into foster care? What's the plan for them?
Right. So let me talk a little bit about this. So once these kids present themselves at the border and are deemed unaccompanied minors, they are transferred to a shelter that's run by ORR, Office of Refugee Resettlement. Once at the shelter will try to contact either a family member or a family friend, or it could even be a parent who is in the United States. Most of the time, the kid will have a contact number for someone in the US. So that person will be contacted, and ORR will start the process to release that child to that person. And the process involves a lot of paperwork, and you know, the person, we call this person the sponsor. So it's the person who is releasing the kid out of ORR shelter, and the sponsor has to go through fingerprint checks, background checks, before the kid can actually be released to that sponsor. So the reason why these kids are being released to Marin County is because they have a sponsor. So they have a relationship with someone who is in Marin County. So the great majority of these kids, they're not released to foster care in Marin County. They're released to a sponsor. Once in a while, the relationship with the sponsor, especially if it's a family friend, someone the kid doesn't know, sometimes it doesn't work out, then they would be transferred to foster care. But it's not a very common situation.
Thank you. So I just wanted to put out a call for any other questions. We have time still. At this point, we've got another appreciation. Thank you for all you do, but we've answered all the questions that are in the chat. There was a lot of information covered. So I imagine there are probably a few more questions.
I can also retype my email in the chat as well as our website for if people want to contact me after the fact or just look up what we do.
I think that would be great. And thank you for an additional, more questions. Okay. Can you talk about, is it pronounced PRUCOL status? PRUCOL? I'm not familiar with the term.
Yeah, it's PRUCOL. Yeah. Ilana, do you wanna touch upon that because of the public charge? So PRUCOL is, I'm going to start, and then if you have anything to add, Ilana, you can do that. So PRUCOL is something that it's not immigration related per se, right? Some of our clients come to us asking if they can be PRUCOL, but it's a form that acknowledges that this person this person is known to be here, right, by the government. So do you have any, whoever asked that question, do you have any specific questions about PRUCOL in terms of like who qualifies or what it's used for? It's usually, it's related to receiving public benefits, right? But I don't know if you have a more specific question.
We often see it, folks who are calling from the Marin Community Clinics, they want to make sure that they're set to receive Medi-Cal. So that's kind of where it often intersects with our work as an agency.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll just wait to see if there's a follow-up, but perhaps you've answered it adequately. Another question is, if you cannot take a case, do you have a list of lawyers that can help?
Yes, I can take that one. Yes, so we have, that's something we end up doing a lot. We, for instance, don't do family petitions. We don't do asylum for adults. We don't do any kind of employment-based visas. So or even consular processing, that's when someone's applying from outside of the US for status within the US. So for all of that, we have a list of local resources, and we kind of note, all right, what county do you have to live in to receive this resource? What kind of process do they do? Do they charge for their work? And we try to update it fairly regularly because, most of these organizations' capacities change, as does ours. That's a big part of what we do at the COVID Attention Center. Because oftentimes people come up to us and it's very clear that they're not a kind of case we can take, but we can immediately get them set up with other agencies.
Wonderful, thank you. The person who asked about PRUCOL status has a bit of a follow-up, asking, yes, in terms of Medi-Cal and other benefits, i.e. CalWORKs, refugee asylum benefits. So I guess PRUCOL status in relationship to other benefits. Is that clear enough?
Yeah, so for example, if you have, it's very case specific, right? But if you have asylum status, you qualify for public benefits, right? You were granted your asylum, the government knows you're here. So you have in general, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to receive public benefits. It's the same is true in regards to most humanitarian types of relief. So asylum, U visa, T visa, VAWA. But it's, again, it's hard to talk about this because it's very case specific. And, I'm just giving you guys a general idea of this. But in terms of asylum specifically, people qualify and should be, when you're granted asylum, you actually should be receiving, you're eligible for a lot of public benefits. So people should definitely be looking into that.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay.
We'll see you in the chat if it helps enough. So I think we're all caught up with questions unless there are more. I have a question, if I may. I wanted to know, it seems like there's a lot of work to do and a lot of complexity and a lot of clients who need help, and that help takes years, it sounds to me, in many, many cases. In your opinion, does Marin County have adequate support for the people who need it? Are there enough individuals and agencies available to help the immigrant community with everything that's needed?
Well, in terms of legal work, absolutely not, right? We are the only ones providing immigration legal services in Marin County. And we don't have capacity to help everyone who needs help. So we need more funding. We welcome more agencies, right? But we just, right now, we have, the referrals that we do, for example, they are all for other counties, because we are the only agency here. So when we have to refer people out, we refer them to an agency in Sonoma. There's another one in Napa, the International Institute of the Bay Area. They have offices in Sonoma and Napa, or we have to refer people to the East Bay, Catholic Charities, or San Francisco. But we are the only ones doing this work here. So definitely we need more funds to expand our capacity. And that's what we are looking into right now, to try to help the unaccompanied minors, right? But we could also use more help, definitely. We partner with Legal Aid of Marin for a lot of things, right? But not immigration related, because they don't have the expertise. And we also partner with Family Intruders Law Center. They are an amazing partner for they work with the unaccompanied minors, because as Josna was saying, there are two parts to the process. The first part of the process is done in state court. So Family Intruders Law Center, we contract with them to do that part of the work, and then we do the immigration work. So we work with other agencies to be able to accomplish what we need to accomplish and serve the community, but we are still lacking resources, agencies, and funding to be able to help the community with all the immigration needs they have.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention briefly, we're also part of a coalition called the Immigrant Rights and Justice Work Group, with the Marin Community Foundation, First Five Marin, Community Action Marin, Legal Aid of Marin. I fear that I am leaving some out of that, but it's a whole coalition that comes together every month to discuss what each of our agencies can do and how we can support each other in terms specifically of immigration rights. But within that umbrella of groups, Canal Alliance is the only one whose entire mission statement is, immigrant advancement. And we're certainly the only organization with an immigration legal team. And as Joanna said, we do not have capacity to do all of the applications and processes that are required in the county.
Thank you. That's what it sounded like. At this point, I just want to put out a last call for questions. This is your chance to talk to a wonderful team of experts and to learn more about our community and our community needs. So if anyone has a follow-up question, an original question, any question, just jump right in.
While we wait for questions, I'm going to take this opportunity to actually announce there's a demonstration tomorrow in San Francisco by the Center for Gender and Refugee Studies at Hastings. Is a great organization. They do a lot of asylum work. I've actually worked with them when I was in law school at Hastings. They are amazing, and they do a lot of work with clients from Haiti as well. They have a program that goes to Haiti every year. Anyway, they're amazing. They're doing a demonstration tomorrow to support Haitian immigrants and other Black immigrants. It's going to be tomorrow, October 14th at 11 a.m. At San Francisco City Hall. So if you're around there, show up and support them.
Thank you for sharing that bit of information. It was nice you added that, because it gave the opportunity for someone else to pop in another question, and a really good one. Where did the information on racial disparity come from? I think we're talking about one of the slides early on in your introduction.
Yeah, I can take that. I would be happy, my email's in the chat. I would be happy to send the study to whoever wants to see it. It was by an organization, I believe, called the Advancement Project, based in Los Angeles. And basically what they did was they took measurements of well-being in various counties, including, like monetary wealth and other things, like Joanna said, like graduation rates, home ownership rates, all of that. And they basically calculated the Z-scores of how significantly different from the mean any given racial group was when they were isolated. And so Marin County was considered the population in which it was most significantly differentiated from any average, depending on the racial makeup of the group that they were isolating. But I can definitely send that study. It is from 2017, so it's a few years old. But at that time, Marin County had the highest, it was the highest performing county, and it was the county with the highest racial disparity in performance and wealth.
So a couple people have asked for this study, and so if you would reach out to, I don't know if you want to grab their emails from the chat, Alana, or perhaps.
Sure, I can do that. Give me one.
And I'm also sending those individuals your email so they can go. And was that from Income Inequality, the Public Policy Institute of California? Is that what we were talking about from December 2020, or something other than that?
No, that is actually a different study than that, although I can try to amass more resources and send those as well.
I was just trying to find it quickly.
It was called, I believe it was called the Advancement Project, or Race Matters.
I know I've seen it.
Race Counts, sorry, Race Counts, not Race Matters. Race Counts, yeah, I'm actually gonna put it in the chat right now as well. This is kind of their general site. Race Counts was the name of the project. And the Advancement Project was the main research institution that was involved. But I will also
thank you.
Try to take down everybody's email address.
Here's the link for Marin County for Race Counts. So so it has, I think it has some of it has the graphing you pulled from. So if everyone that was interested, if you just, I just shared with you Race Counts /county/Marin, and that should get you to the data that Alana shared in the slides.
The only email address I'm currently seeing is from Wendy. So if folks sent their email addresses just to Shireen, if you could send them in the chat, or just to me, I will get you a copy of that. And I can also send the UC Berkeley study on inter and intramunicipal segregation if you'd like.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just looking. Yeah, Wendy wanted it, and Kathy requested it, and I emailed Kathy your email. I copied your email in the chat for Kathy. So hopefully all our communications have covered everything. So, okay. So has anyone thought of a question that they'd like to have addressed before we end our presentation for today? Well, with that, we're getting some thank yous, and I just want to echo the thank you that just came in. Thank you everyone for attending, and certainly thank you everyone from Canal Alliance for the important work you do in our community, and also for this very informative presentation. I believe you outlined the situation, you defined a lot of terms, and you framed what's going on in our community within a broader legal and federal context, which I think is really important, the interplay between the federal level and what we see at home on the ground. So I think that that was very, very useful, and can't thank you enough has just come in. So
Right.
with that, I just want to remind everyone that we're recording the presentation and it will be posted on the Marin County Free Library YouTube channel. And of course, I'll share it with everyone at Canal Alliance as well that's here, so that if you want to review the presentation, remind yourself of what you've learned, you can do that too. And Alana or anyone else, anyone else have anything to say before we close out?
I just wanted to,
Oh, sorry.
what Joanna was going to say.
I
Yeah.
want to thank you all for being here and for, supporting this work and the immigrant community in any way you can. And yeah, Ilana, you had something to say?
Precisely what Joanna just said. Thank you for your attention and for caring about these issues.
All right. So remember to reach out to Alana with further questions. Opportunities to volunteer, I understand, are available as well. Is that right?
Yes, they're a bit limited at the moment, which is why I didn't actually put
My
them on.
bad.
No, it's all good. Luckily, we have a lot of interest. But if you are interested in volunteering, slots tend to open up. So let me know and I will connect you with our development team.
All right. Well, I think we've covered everything. So have a lovely evening, everyone, and thank you so much.